specific enough, and then like you can't really kind of measure it, like record it. So to you, because confidence can mean a lot of things. Like, it can be just standing up for myself, or contributing to a conversation, or being able to be assertive in a certain situation where I wasn't assertive before. So for you, how would you define confidence for yourself? Like, what does that mean to you, and how are you going to keep track of that definition of confidence?
I guess going back to fear, that's just something I have to fight through, and just not be afraid to voice what I feel. And then once I say it, stick with it, because there's no right and wrong. It's just an opinion. And if people judge, it's okay. You can't, you can't force somebody to think the way you think. It's just a different perspective. And I just have to be confident with that and comfortable with that, and not let that thought in my head go round and round. How I could have said it differently or something.
Right, and that's because it messes with your head, because you're kind of constantly ruminating. So ruminating means just thinking about it over and over and over. And honestly, you guys, like, when that happens in anything, how do you guys feel? Like, Trevor, how do you feel when you, like, something that's bothering you maybe?
It makes you relive that feeling of, like, over and over and over and over again. Like, if it was a feeling like of regret, where you should have done something, but you ruminate over it, it just makes that gut feeling where, like, man, I really messed up. It just makes you live with it. Instead of moving on, you hear, like, the term of, like, have a memory like a goldfish. And it's like, that's how a lot of professional athletes are. Yeah. You're going to make a mistake, but you forget. You let it go. You realize you have more chances to correct it, or more chances to, like, you're not damned at any point in your life what you do, like, with one mistake.
Right.
And that's why, like, that's why I think, like, even when we ruminate with stuff like that, and I think that's what we, like, as people, it's just a difficult thing to not dwell over.
Right.
We think that
it's easier said than done. To just say, like, oh, you could just move on to the next opportunity.
Completely.
And it's a personality thing too, because you always want to, like, I guess I always want to be perfect, or I always felt like I had to be perfect, and then just knowing that not the unknown, it's a scary thing. And I guess how, like, Trevor, that was really actually made a lot of sense, where you said that you're going to make mistakes, and you just can't go back and forth. You just got to move forward. Like, that's what happens. And you just go forward.
Exactly. Yeah. So now that you have a better idea, so for confidence, just, for you being able to own up to those mistakes and being able to move forward, I feel like is that how you want to define confidence, or?
I guess, because then you become more sure of yourself, and you just grow as a person, and you can't let that emotion, set you back. Like, you just got to keep moving forward. So I guess fear and moving forward, and
okay. And so now, being more specific, how is that going to tie into? Because you talked about it going into work. So how are you going to tie that definition of confidence into your work? How are you going to do that? So applying that definition of confidence, that now that you have, of being able to move forward, even if you make a mistake, or if it's the correct course of action, what are you going to do at work? So how is that going to be displayed? So how is that going to apply to your work setting?
Okay, I guess I can.
Well, if you don't mind, like, what I think you need to understand or set for your goal is realize that it's not a I'm gonna make my opinion stick to my guns. I think you need to realize that our decisions in life are fluid. We're gonna be one side and then be like, well, you know what? Actually, I was wrong. Let me trigger, and you have to be fluid in that sense. But you have to understand, like, I'm gonna live with this decision, and if I'm wrong, I'm gonna admit it, and I'm gonna make corrective actions. But it doesn't mean, like, you just have to be, like, assertive with yourself, or, like, confident. Like, you know what? And even in work, like, I am a professional. This is my job. I know what I'm doing. I might make mistakes, but I'll admit them, and we'll move forward. And you just need to make that contract with yourself, where it's not like, you don't need to be like, I made a mistake, but I need to stick to it. You just realize it's a fluid. Everything's fluid and changing in life. And it's not even with your goal. It's just like, it doesn't necessarily mean like I'm stuck with the decision I make, but I'm going to back myself.
Yeah.
And that's maybe more or less what it's like. I'm going to believe in me, or spend time, or you can even look like, okay, let me take classes and seminars, or listen to TED Talks that build about confidence and building yourself and backing yourself. And maybe that's more realistic thing is I'm going to take classes, I'm going to do this stuff, rather than saying I'm gonna be always right, because we're never gonna be right.
Yeah, and that's definitely something that I never think I'm right. I always let others define their perspective and opinion. I'm like, okay, I'm wrong. So I put myself down and I don't allow myself to move forward. Yeah. And I set myself backwards where I know I have the potential, but I have the fear of moving forward because I allow people to say, yeah, I'm right. And I need to be like, no, like,
yeah. But so now, so I get where you're going with this, but like tying it back to work, because that's, now you want to specify to work. Mm-hmm. How is that going to apply to your work setting now?
Oh.
So like if you for example, how Trevor said, like if you make a mistake at work, like are you going to stick to your guns, or are you going to be more of like, okay, like I made a mistake, own up to it, and then we keep rolling forward, kind of?
Yeah, I think, well, again, the thing is I always try not to make a mistake, so that's why I deprive myself of opportunities, but I think I'm going to try to go for those opportunities, and if I make a mistake, I'm just going to continue to keep asking, like, hey, just give it a shot. I think I know what I can do better this time.
There you go. That's it. There you go. So you're offering an alternative to a solution if it doesn't work out. Yeah. I like that. Okay. Very good. Trevor?
Oh, you go over my goal?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did it happen or did it not happen?
Yes, it actually did. So one thing is I realized, I set my goal. I said I was going to go for a run or a walk 3 times a week, at least a mile. The first start of the week, I kind of made the typical excuses the first couple of days. I did it once, then 2 to 3 days passed, and I still had the other 2. But then I sat down and I said, look, I got 3 days left. I need to go for a run 2 more times to meet my goal. So, like, really setting a number and really giving it a definitive measurable, it really did help. Like, with what you were talking about is I made it a number, what I wanted to do, where I wanted to be. So when I got to the end of my goal, or the end of my time frame, I knew what I needed to do. I needed to rev it up to finish what I promised myself I would do, and it kind of helped get me to that point.
That's fantastic. So now that you've met that goal, how are you going to try to improve it, or are you going to be kind of somewhat consistent right now, and then build up towards a somewhat more difficult goal?
Yeah, part of my goal is I have a more broad goal is to continuously run a mile a day for 1 month. Okay. That's more along like a year-long goal where it's like I want to get to that point. But I want to continue meeting the same. I want to take my goal, copy, cut it to the next, go on. So I want to do that every week, have the same goal. But my bigger goal is going to be I want to do it continuously every day. 30 days continuously. Perfect. No breaks, just 1 mile to myself.
Excellent. And I feel like that's something, because out of everybody, I feel like some of you, like Tim, Eileen, and Beatrice, you guys didn't necessarily, not that you didn't meet your goals. Well, Tim, unfortunately, it didn't have, which it's fine, it is what it is. But this is where what I liked about Trevor's is that his goal was very specific. So, like, following that acronym SMART, it was specific. He had this measure, so specific being that I'm going to run a mile 3 times a week. Was it measurable? I mean, it's a mile, so you can measure running a mile. Is it achievable? I mean, most of us can, even if we're not the fittest of people, we can probably take down a mile very easily. Is it realistic? And same goes back to the same thing. You can do it. And is it timely? Yeah, I mean, a mile usually takes depending on how 5 to 20 minutes if you walk or sprint, which you can't sprint, but you can challenge yourself to get better, right?
I like that he started with the small.
Yeah.
He didn't start with I'm gonna run every day for a month.
Yeah. Right.
Because then
exactly, and that's where it's realistic and it's
life
achievable.
Like
yeah, exactly, totally. So for you guys now, I'm gonna give you guys a couple minutes. So Trevor, I feel like you don't really need to take you already have your assignment down. So you'll have a couple minutes to just relax. But for you guys, I'm gonna give you guys a couple minutes to maybe just think about how you can tweak your goal to be a little more specific, and then we'll come back and talk about it.
All right.
Yeah,